Hi everyone, I am going to go over how to complete the production report today. I had one of my former accounting students, Becca, help me out, and over to the board, she has set up the production report. So if you could pause the video and please get this down. Okay? All right, so I'm back now. You pause that video and you have your production report down. Just so you know, last week, this first schedule will be schedule 1 and 2. This next schedule will be 3 and 4. And then this last schedule will be your 5th schedule. Okay? All right, so here's the practice problem. You are going to complete a production report. You are going to have other questions after we're done. This is going to keep us busy. Okay. So here's the problem. Woodson Dairy produces an organic butter that is sold by the pound. The production of butter begins in the churning department. Data for the churning department for January follows. Units in beginning work in process inventory are 100,000 units. Okay, well, I'm going to start with that over there. Units started during the month, all direct materials, including cream and salt, are added at the beginning, very important, of the churning process. We saw a practice problem last week where it was at the ending, but this is at the beginning. Units in ending work in process, WIP, inventory, is 40% of the way through the process. Okay, well that's going to be related to conversion costs. All right, so let's get busy and set this up. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out the units, the physical flow of units. All right, so we're going to start with, this is what we're figuring out here. All right, so we're going to start with beginning work in process for January 1st is 100,000. You know what? I'm going to write in a blue pen so it really shows up. Okay, so beginning work in process is 100,000. I'm trying to be neat, everybody. All right. Plus started in production during January is 1,500.
What I meant to say here was 1,500,000.
Okay? All right, so I draw a line. The total physical units to account for, I just add these two together, and that gives me 1,600,000. Okay? All right, now, units accounted for, completed and transferred out during January. I don't have that number. Remember, you're going to back into that number. All right, but what I do have is the ending work in process. I do have the 200,000. Okay, so the total physical units, 1,600, were in there. Here's what's still left in work in process, 200. So what happened to the difference? 1,600 minus 200, those were completed and transferred out. So that is 100%. Remember, accounting majors, or we are doing the weighted average. Okay, it's weighted average method. Okay, there's my comma. You know the lab, you picky on the commas. All right, so now I add those two together. 1,400,000 plus 200,000 gives me 1,600,000. Okay, remember, these two numbers always have to match. Okay, that's your reconciliation. Now you've reconciled the flow of physical units. Okay, and this week, we're going to combine 1 and 2 in the same schedule. As you can see, a production report is huge. So if we didn't, we would be really, really in trouble. All right, so I look back at the problem. All right, so here's what it says, and I have these numbers right here, but I want to look to see what they're saying was ending process. All right, so over over here, completed and transferred out, direct materials is exactly that number, 1,400,000. Conversion costs, also 1,400,000. Okay? All right. The direct materials, it said they're all added at the beginning. Okay, so that is for the ending work in process, whatever that is, 200,000. All right, but what does it say about ending? All right, ending, it says units and ending work in process of 40% of the way through the process. What's the process? Those are your conversion costs. So you're going to take 200,000 and multiply that by 40%. When you do 200,000 times 40%, that gives you $80,000. Okay? All right, now I'm ready. I'm going to figure out the total equivalent units. So the total equivalent units for direct materials is 1,600,000. Remember, this is not a dollar figure, okay? This is not a dollar figure. Same thing over here, 1,400,000 plus 80 gives me 1,480,000 units. Equivalent units. All right, I'm going to use that later on, but I'm going to still move on. Okay, so now I look back to the problem, and the next thing that I'm going to figure out is the cost per equivalent unit. Now I'm getting into costs, so I'm going to look for dollar figures. All right, so here's what it says. Direct materials costs included in beginning work in process were 110,000. And the conversion costs included in work in process were 24. And the total are 134. All right, so I've got my beginning work in process, which is 110,000. Again, very thankful for my accounting student who has very nice handwriting. All right, and then I'm going to, and remember, this is a dollar figure. Okay, so I'm going to be careful with my dollar figures on this one because it's a production report. So like I said, this is not a dollar figure. Okay? All right, so 110, this is 24,000, and this is 134,000. Okay? All right, now, plus costs added during January. Okay, so I look back at the problem. Manufacturing costs during January, direct materials used are 1,730,000. Okay? All right, how much were the conversion costs? So they give me the individual totals, they gave me direct labor, and they gave me manufacturing overhead. So I will add those two together, 10,000 plus 558, and that gives me 568,000. Okay, so 568. Okay. All right, and then it gives me, so I'd add these two together, 1,730,000 plus 568 gives me 2,298,000. Okay? All right, now I'm going to total these up. So I total, and this is going to be my total cost to account for. Okay, so my total cost to account for direct materials are 1,840,000. My total cost to account for conversion costs are 592,000. My total costs for both of those are 2,432,000. Okay? This is $1 and this is $1. Okay? All right, now I'm going to divide by the total equivalent units. So I got my fraction bar, and I divide by my equivalent units. I go back up here. That's not a dollar figure. I divide that out, and that gives me $1.15. Okay, so $1.15 is my answer there. I put a double underline. Okay. Then I go over here, I take 592,000, I put the fraction bar, and that's a division, right? Division. And that is 1,480,000. Remember, that's coming from here, okay? And that will equal my equivalent unit. That's $1.15, and this is, it does have the sign, but it's 40 cents, all right? 40 cents, okay? So the total equivalent cost per unit is $1.15 for direct materials and 40 cents for conversion costs. All right, now we're finally ready. We're going to get to our 5th schedule. Now you can see why I broke this up for 2 weeks. All right, so we're going to do our equivalent units completed and transferred out, okay? That I'm getting right from up here. So equivalent units completed and transferred out, 1,400,000 and 1,400,000. Okay? All right. That is not a dollar figure, right? All right, so now I'm going to multiply this by the cost per equivalent unit. So the direct materials is 1.15. The conversion costs are 0.40 or 0.40. Okay? Then I multiply it. My cost assigned to units completed and transferred out, my answer is 1,610,000. And then 1,000,004 times 0.40 gives me, and that's $1. This is $1. Okay? So 560,000. Okay? Now I'm going to total these across. So costs assigned to units completed and transferred out. I'm going to take direct materials plus the 560, and that gives me 2,170,000. Okay? All right, now, this is broken up. I got my completed and transferred out, and now I'm going to work on my ending work in process. All right, so my ending work in process, I'm going to get right from here. So I take my ending work in process, which is 200,000. And then I'm going to multiply that by the cost per equivalent unit, which is $1.15. Okay? All right, so costs assigned to work in process is 230,000. Now I work on my conversion costs. I'm going to take the 80,000 now. Okay? This is 80. I got that from here. And then I multiply that by 0.40 or just 0.40, and that gives me, put the dollar sign in. Here's the dollar sign of 32,000. Okay? All right, now I total these across. 230 plus 32,000, and that gives me 262,000. Okay? That's a dollar figure. All right, now I draw a line. Total costs accounted for. I am going to add the 2,170,000 plus the 262,000, and that gives me 2,432,000. Okay, that's a double underline because that is your total. All right. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the problem, and it asks you some questions. All right. Okay. So here's the question it asks. Let's see. How much did it cost to make 1 pound of butter in the churning department? All right, so your answer, you would take $1.15 plus the 0.40 cents, and that gives you $1.55. So your answer to number 2, I'll write it right here, is $1.55, okay? But also know how you got it, all right? You got it by taking the direct materials, which is 1.15, and then you added the conversion costs, which is 0.40. So that's how you got the 1.55, okay? All right, requirement 3. How much did it cost to make a partially completed pound of butter in the churning department? Okay? There's 2 ways to do this. All right? Here's the 2 ways. Okay, so 3, they're looking for, this is why this is different. They're asking for the partially completed. All right? Partially completed. All right, so you could take the direct materials, which they said is fully complete. They said they complete in the beginning. So then you're going to take 1.15. All right, but now of the 40 cents, right, for conversion, it says in ending inventory, it is 40% of the way of the process. So you're going to take 0.40 multiplied by 40%, right? So I like decimals. So 0.40 times 0.40 gives you 16 cents. So your answer to conversion cost is 16 cents. So you take $1.15 plus the 16, and that would give you $1.31. Okay? All right, another way you can do it. So the ending work in process for the ending work in process is 262,000. You could divide it by the number of units that are still in working process, trying to get that partially completed, because these are completed. 262 divided by 200, and that gives you $1.31. Okay, so that's just another way to do that. All right, and they also say, does this make sense? All right, yes, it makes sense because it's lower. It's lower than this, and 60% of the conversion costs have not yet been incurred. Okay? And that's it. I know it's tedious. I know it's time consuming, but make sure you understand how to complete each piece of a production report, and then you've completed process of costing. All right? All right, so I'll see you. I'm going to show you how to do journal entries. Remember, for those of you who hadn't had accounting in a while, you need to know debit and credit. So go back, look at my first week where I posted just the basics of debit and credit. Okay? All right, I'll see you soon.